evening and welcome to the June 15th, 2026 Phoenixville Area School District Board meeting. It's 8:54 and I'm calling this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Cameron, will you please call the roll?
Dr. Alan Savage.
Aye. Present.
Dr. Halloran.
Here.
President Overland.
Here.
Mr. Perry.
Here.
Ms. Remington.
Here.
Ms. Turner.
Here.
Mr. Venezia.
Here.
Ms. Walker. Present. Mr. Weiser.
Here.
We have 9 board members present.
Awesome. Thank you very much. On the screen, we'll put up the announcement of upcoming meetings as well as past meetings, including we were just in an executive session on safety and security and personnel, and we are going to return into an executive session after the meeting for personnel, but wanted to try to get out here as quickly as we could for you all. Okay, tonight we are excited to welcome Ms. Kelly Dengler, the vocal and instrumental music teacher at Berkeley Elementary School and the director of Bands and Chorus, along with Mr. Randy Shaler, the owner of Zezwitz Music, as they share some exciting news.
Good evening, Superintendent McTiernan, President Overland, members of the board, faculty, students, and the families who filled this room tonight. I'm here on behalf of the NAM Foundation to recognize Phoenixville Area School District as a winner of the 2026 Best Communities for Music Education Award. The NAM Foundation's Best Communities for Music Education Award. Congratulations. The NAM Foundation's Best Communities Award has been the gold standard in music education for 27 years. In partnership with researchers at the University of Kansas, it measures the real depth of a district's commitment to music education, funding, staffing, instruction time, access for every student, and critically, the support of the community, all of which combine to produce a truly outstanding music program. This year, only approximately 7.6% of public school districts in America, about 1,000 out of more than 13,000, earned this designation. But Phoenixville didn't just make the list. This is your 9th time. Fewer than 380 of this year's winners have received the award 9 or more times, which places Phoenixville's music program in the top 2.85% in the nation. Superintendent McTiernan, you know better than most what it takes to be undefeated. It's everyone playing their part. That's exactly how a program earns this honor 9 times over. It takes students who practice when no one's listening, families who show up like families did tonight and played out for us on the lawn as we walked in, faculty who tirelessly lead with passion and heart, reaching every student, polishing their potential, and administrators and a board who keep music prioritized, funded, and front and center. So students, parents, faculty, and administrators, and members of the board, all members of the Phoenixville School District community, consider this your encore, your 9th encore, and certainly not the last. So Superintendent McTiernan, on behalf of the NAM Foundation, it's my honor to present Phoenixville Area School District with the 2026 Best Communities for Music Education Award. Congratulations.
Yeah, there's some music students here that want to come hold the... Ms. Dengler, yes.
Go back that way a little bit.
That's great.
Can we go that way a little bit?
I'm getting yelled at to move to the back.
Oh, wait, to give it a bunch of. Just there's more Here. Can you unlock your phone? Here.
Oh, it's locked. It's okay.
Gee, it'd be nice if we put the music to the money to the music program after this.
That's great.
Okay. We have everybody this time. you. One more. Whatever.
If you're not gonna clap for the music program,
1, 2, 3. Great. You got it. There you go.
that's how I look at it.
Thank you for coming.
Congratulations, and thank you for sticking around so long for that. At this point, we're going to move into board committee updates, and we'll start with Board Personnel and Finance Chair, Mr.
People have been waiting
Frank
a long time.
Venezia.
I think
Well-
we deserve to have public comment now.
We are going to move on
Do
public
the-
comment, but we're going to go through these board representative reports, and then we'll do public comment.
So disrespectful.
You got it. Thanks, President Overland. So in addition to our routine staff assignments, a couple of transfers and leaves, we do have a couple of key administrative recommendations that are up for approval tonight. I was going to ask Ms. Rockwood if you could come up and maybe share some background and context on those.
Sure. We have a number of positions on the personnel report, as Mr. Venezia said. The recommendation for a new assistant principal at the middle school, Mr. Noah DePasqua. He has been serving as the dean of students and is now filling that role officially as the assistant principal effective next school year. We have
Middle school.
at the assistant principal at the high school. Sorry, thank you. We have a number of teaching positions as well. We have a learning support position. We have 2 kindergarten positions. We have a health and PE teacher who will serve as a half-time health and PE teacher, and a substitute teacher, a full-time position at the middle school. That is actually at the middle school. And we also have a 5th and 6th grade teacher at Berkeley. We also, later on in the agenda, is another administrative recommendation. It's not appearing on the personnel report. It's a separate contracted position recommendation for a new assistant superintendent, Dr. Kate Pasito, to replace Dr. Kilmetz. In addition, on the personnel report, there's a couple leaves of absences, some informational items, a number of transfers, and then some summer staff appointments.
I think there's an additional item on the consent agenda as well, correct? Climate and culture
Yes, I can
consultant.
speak to that. We are also recommending a contract for a contracted climate and culture consultant. And that position, the work will be done by an individual who's currently employed by Downingtown. He will remain employed by Downingtown, and we will contract for his services to fulfill that work on a part-time basis for the district for a 1-year period.
Thanks, Ms. Rockwood. And then could you add a little context around sort of the hiring or the interview process, the applicant flow as it pertained to Dr. Kilmetz's replacement?
Sure. When we received Dr. Kilmetz's resignation, we're excited for her moving on to her own superintendency. We quickly posted that position, critical position that we wanted to have in place, obviously, for the start of next school year and throughout the summer for planning purposes. So once that was posted, we received a fairly large pool of qualified applicants. We had a large number of applicants, but 29 qualified applicants for the position. We did a series of interviews that included teachers and administrators. We interviewed 7 applicants. The second round, we took 2 applicants to the second round, and the successful candidate was, the finalist was interviewed by board member and senior administrators led by Superintendent McTiernan, and that's the recommendation that we're bringing to you today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're all set? Okay, next, Mr. Perry with the Building Grounds overview.
Yes, we met earlier this evening. We discussed a few items, 3 items actually. One was a contract with the Borough of Phoenixville in relation to 5 fire hydrants that they are going to be doing inspection. This is an agreement that is a no cost to the district for them to be inspecting these and give them basically rights to go on the property and look at the fire hydrants. The second item was a contract with ICS Consulting to perform and produce a facility assessment that is in addition to the one that we've already had done. We have a negotiated price of $1,500, which seems low. However, they're a company that we do a lot of work with previously, so this is a very good price for basically looking at the high school and looking at what further options we might have, drilling down further into that process. And the last item is a contract with Westchester Environmental in the amount of $13,700 for lead testing for all of the schools in the district. And that's a one-year contract.
Thank you very much, Mr. Perry. Dr. Alan Savage, you want to provide an overview of the curriculum committee items discussed earlier this evening?
We had a robust discussion around several of the approval items that are up for approval this evening. First, starting with the Behavioral and Educational Services Agreement with, am I reading from the right place? Yeah, okay. The Behavioral and Education Services Agreement with Cottage 7 Education for a term of July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. We also discussed the approval of a dental services agreement with Dr. Robert Dolphus of Chesterbrook Dental Associates for a term of April 29th, 2026 through April 28th, 2027. That is an ad-needed service for the district. We also discussed approval of the Camp Hill School 2026 extended school year enrollment contract for a term of June 22nd through July 17th of 2026. Additionally, approval of an ESY agreement with Pathway School for a term of July 6, 2026 through August 6, 2026. In addition, as usual, we are always disposing of textbooks that we are no longer using and library books. So that is an approval item, approval of disposal of textbooks and library books. Then we also spoke on curriculum in the curriculum committee about the approval of transportation and field trips. We had the boys basketball overnight trip to Alvernia, which they do every year. That is actually taking place this week, June 17th through 18th. We also spoke about the Phoenixville area high school music field trip to Nashville, which is exciting. And this is the first time that they're heading to Nashville. That's going to be taking place March 17th through the 22nd of 2027. Then Model UN, they are taking a trip to New Jersey in November of this year. And then last but not least, our high school destinations with direction will be taking trips to Duquesne, IUP, and Penn West, California in October. So those are all up for approval this evening. In addition, we also have up for approval of resources, which is speaking to new text for our Phoenixville Middle School and High School, additional supplemental novels, additional textbooks, etc. We also have up for approval an approval of a site license with Translate Live for a one-year term. We are hoping to extend and expand and stretch our translation services. This seems to be the best platform at the current moment, as it seems as though they have the field or the field monopolized, as they're one of the only platforms that does such a robust translation service. So we're approving a one-year contract at the cost of $75,000. We also have the approval of curricular revisions. Mr. Daney gave us a brief overview of some of these revisions, but they are within the personal finance, government information. Oh, goodness, I can't read. I can read, but it's late. and environmental science, earth systems, and intro to astronomy. So there's some revisions. These are not new courses, again, just some tweaks as we continue to improve our courses in our curriculum. Additionally, we're also approving a settlement agreement and a release of a student, 2023-2024. We are also approving for the curriculum committee an approval of a memorandum of understanding with Trellis for Tomorrow for a term of June 13th, 2026 through June 12th, 2027. We spoke about how we have this awesome grant-funded program. They're offering opportunities for our students. We have 7 or 9, I think Dr. McClure said 7 students that are currently employed. We know that the first employment opportunity for students is always one of the most impactful. My first job was actually at the White House for the school district. Yay, I came back. And so we know that that's super important for our students. So those are all up for approval this evening, and that was also discussed in the curriculum committee meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Allen Savage. We'll also have the strategic plan and superintendent goals along with the minutes from June 1st, 2026 board meeting up for discussion later and voting. I am going to move up our any school subject general public comment now so our students can speak. And, well, we will start with Lisa Longo. And a reminder, 3 minutes. Please say your name.
I would like to let the students speak first, if that's okay with you, Mr.
Okay. Mike Padilla is next on the list. Okay. Avi Valor? Avea?
Avea Valor, Schuylkill Township. Good evening, everyone. My name is Avea Valor, and I am the rising sophomore student body vice president at the high school. I wanted to come tonight to say a sincere thank you for approving next year's budget for the renovations at the high school. We're incredibly grateful for this long-term investment in our new performing arts, dining, and athletics area through the renovations of the whole building. Although my class won't be able to see any of the renovations, our younger siblings in the classes under us will, and we know how this will positively impact the whole community. That being said, when we talk about impacting our community, we're talking about our amazing teachers, so I want to make it clear that we stand with all the wonderful teachers that are here tonight in our school district and what they're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. Bodie Huck?
She had to leave, it got too late.
Okay. And then, you go?
Hello, Aw Yeagle, Schuylkill Township. Tonight I'm going to be speaking about my experience at Manavon during my senior internship in music education with Miss Sakazensky. The last time I spoke to you all, I joked that I needed a 3-day recovery period after just 1 day at Manavon/PALC in my senior internship. You can imagine how I feel after 3 weeks. However, I hope you all will be pleased to know that even through all the craziness and mayhem, I still want to pursue education. There's just no other job like it. And what convinced me of this was both the wonderful students at our school and the incredible staff I encountered. The kids I encountered are silly, funny, energetic, creative, and good at problem solving. So much of what I observed was kids figuring out how to work together and what to do if something didn't go the way they expected. I got the privilege to spend an afternoon in Miss Lauren Dialoya's class, and I can vouch for how well behaved her students were and how kind and gentle Mrs. Dialoya is as a human. She treated her kindergarten class with such respect and kindness that it was easy for her students to reciprocate her respect and kindness. After leaving Mrs. Dialoya's classroom, a student came up to me in the hallway as I was leaving and asked, "Miss Aw, are you a car rider or a walker?" And I told him, "I drive myself." And he gave just the best whoa as I told him I was super duper old. That memory to me really highlights the bright nature of these kids here. They're just so lovable, and it was such a fun way to end my day. And that's how I'll get to spend every day as a future educator. Literally the best. But what really pushed me towards still considering this, especially after some behaviors were shown from students, was the educators that I interacted with. Mrs. Dialoya, Ms. Sakazensky, Mrs. Trafford, and Mrs. Petrolak, along with Mrs. Krista Amos and Mr. Bobby Eppelman, all encouraged me to pursue this pathway as an educator. Mrs. Dialoya was very professional, yet friendly, which was impressive as many struggle with the balance between maintaining a professional attitude while forming connections with those around them. It was absolutely no surprise to me that our class was so well behaved, and that they handled problems with patience and a can-do attitude. Their character, hard work, energy, and kindness showed me that educators can persist even through difficult situations. They are all sincere and friendly and formed connections with me over my time there that I will look back on very fondly, especially Lemon Day. It is because of the efforts of the Special Areas Department that young children are able to explore their interests. It is because of the efforts of the music program that children are able to sing and perform at the kindergarten and first grade promotion ceremony. What you can't see at their performances is the weeks of effort, starting months in advance for every music class from our music teachers to teach kids the songs. It is because of the efforts of both Mrs. Petrolak and Mrs. Hakazensky that Mrs. Snaith's class was able to perform The Little Train, which brought genuine tears to my eyes. Our kids deserve the absolute best, and the music department is the heart and soul of Phoenixville. That's exactly what I saw time and time again at my senior internship. I am so proud of our music educators for meeting the standards for the best communities for music education for another year in a row. They have absolutely excelled in every category I can think of. Thank you so much.
Gabriella Lozano.
Hi, Gabriella Lozano, Phoenixville Borough. Good evening. My name is Gabriella Lozano, and I'm a rising junior at Phoenixville Area High School. And I'm here today to express my concerns regarding the future of the music department at both the elementary and middle school level. According to the NIH, there are several predictors in determining whether a student is going to continue singing or playing an instrument long term. These factors include taking music lessons more than once a week, attending music classes, and high amounts of practice time. Now, let's apply this to the elementary schools. If, for example, one teacher were to manage all 4 elementary schools' choir programs, then each elementary school would likely receive significantly less instructional time and fewer opportunities for rehearsal and performance because that's just not physically possible for one person to handle. Effectiveness of music education relies on frequent rehearsals, sustained relationships with students, and performance participation. While other staff can move from building to building, music education functions differently. Elementary and middle school are key developmental periods for long-term performing. If students can't get the attention they need because their teacher has to split their time across multiple schools, then they will lose motivation and eventually quit. I could go on and on about the benefits of music to the growing mind. Many studies suggest that students that partake in music programs tend to demonstrate stronger academic outcomes, as well as helping to develop cognitive skills such as attention, working memory, and language skills that support further learning. It's not separate from academics and shouldn't be treated as such. But more than that, music has fostered an identity amongst the districts. I have a lot of cousins that go to the Haverford School District, and whenever I see them and we talk about school, they say something like, "Oh, Phoenixville's the ones that play the music, right?" Music education is a key factor in the identity of the PASD, and hurting the music department would hurt the school's image as a result. And what I personally think is the most important is the detriments to student social life. The music department is a family for those who are lucky to be a part of it. I know for me, Bel Canto Choir at the high school has become like a second family, and I love everyone there. And a big majority of my friends are in either band, orchestra, or choir. I think that I could speak for a lot of people when I say that the music department is the place I feel most accepted. Rebuilding the music department would take years because of this, if lost. I urge the board to consider not just the financial impact of the decisions you make, but also the impact of students. Music education is an investment to personal growth, academic growth, and social belonging that allows students to keep their engagement in school. It's not just a luxury. Elementary and middle school students deserve the same programs that make Phoenixville a safe place to learn, grow, and find themselves. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Okay, I think those are all the students. Lisa Longo.
That's a really tough act to follow. I want to thank those students who spoke and all the other students who I know have spoken in the past. What really struck me tonight was hearing about that we've gotten that award for the 9th year. And I wanted to just remind the board, I've said this before, but what that took was we invested in our music program year after year. We made it the goal of our strategic plan. It didn't happen by accident, and it didn't happen without our support. Phoenixville is known for music. That is what we're known for. But it's not only the music program that's missing teachers. I've heard them talk about PE, health, art teachers. These are all important parts of the students' social well-being. That's what's important. And we have to look at that. The budget passed without the goals being passed first. That's backwards, right? The goals are always supposed to come first because you align your budget to your goals. Looking at student ratio to teachers needed to be a part of that budget process as well. If it was, I missed it. And I admit, I wasn't at every meeting, so maybe you'd had the conversation and I wasn't here. But it seems to me now this board passed a budget despite having overwhelming concerns and even disagreeing with some of the line items and being told that the line items didn't matter, that all that mattered was passing the budget. That's not true. You voted for a legal document. That legal document is filed with PDE. You can change it, absolutely. You can do budget adjustments and transfers, but you voted for a budget that was against your values. You voted for something you didn't know what was in it. You all admitted that, except for Dan, who voted against it, and thank you for that. But this board now has a responsibility to reopen those budget conversations, to engage with the public, to sit down and figure out how many music teachers do we really need? How many art teachers? How many nurses? How many PE teachers? Because movement is also tied to academic learning. That's a fact. Students learn better if they move more. Students learn better if they read music. Students learn better when they're happier. These are the things we need to take into account. And what you voted for in that budget, I will say I was embarrassed that some of you voted for a budget and you admitted you didn't agree with it. You admitted you didn't know what was in it. And I printed it out because I did this budget for at least 10 years, if not more. I couldn't make sense of the gobbledygook. How could any of you, seriously, I'm seriously disgusted and worried about our school district and our children. We need to have meetings this summer. You can't wait until the fall. You can add meetings, you can add strategic sessions, you can add budget sessions, and you certainly should not be voting on those goals tonight after you canceled the last 2 public discussions of those goals. I was here at the last 2 meetings, was on the agenda both times, and it got too late. And that's because of the choice you've made to stack the board meeting after committee meetings. That was a choice the board made. We never did that. We had committee meetings the first week, committee meetings the second week, workshop the third meeting, voting meeting the fourth week. You guys made the decision to put these meetings on top of each other. You should damn well get through every item. And you should not vote on those goals. It should be removed from the consent agenda and add sessions with the public.
Mr. Mike Padilla?
Mike Padilla, Schuylkill Township. I have some Title IX updates. So good news, at least for me. We've secured resources to create a documentary about the Title IX saga that's transpired over 3 years and ongoing. So in partnership with experts from Accelerate Equity, Ithaca College, and Ursinus College, we're going to produce a 40-minute documentary that kind of shows the full cycle of the challenges that were required to make meaningful change and continue to be needed going forward with the district. So we're working with the Colonial Theater, hope to have a premiere there. And then we want to also have a Q&A session. So we would love if any of you could potentially participate in that as well. After a right to know request, I did confirm that there continues to be no booster governance on how the booster dollars are spent. So if you recall, when I first brought this up years ago, there was no tracking at all of anything. So at least now the dollars are being tracked, but there's pools of money and there's no oversight into, does the football team get gold rings, but the girls cross country team get, T-shirts. We know how much is in there, but there's no governance on who gets what. I also came across a couple of other disparities in the related data. I sent Ms. Rockwood an email over 3 weeks ago. There's been no response. I followed up recently, no response. But this is continual data that doesn't match other sources of data. So we've seen this before, but now there's just kind of, I guess, a closed door there. And then in some good news, kind of a dad brag here, but at graduation time, we're always talking about go change the world. And it wasn't your speech that inspired it. It was more of, I think, your behavior, Ms. McTiernan. But recently, Kenzie was invited to speak at the United Nations on the topic of Title IX. So I think for the students here, it's a great lesson of find what you believe in, stand up for it. It's not easy. Got to really fight for it. But it opens up a lot of doors. So going forward, I think we have to continue to close these gaps in the Title IX issues, and I would continue to ask for a more collaborative posture than the closed doors that are currently being presented. Thank you.
Thank you. John Mraz.
Good evening, John Mraz, Schuylkill Township. 4 hours into the night already, and we had 1 hour of almost executive session. I think the board needs to apologize to the public here because we sat around for 1 hour. I understand there has to be executive sessions, but having the public here and waiting for an hour when everybody else has something else to do, that's not right. I think there has to be an adjustment to your schedule. If you're going to have an executive session, have it before or stand to the meeting times. If you're going to do 5:30 or 6:30 for the executive session or for the general board meeting, but you shouldn't have the people here sitting around doing nothing when you're in executive session, knowing that you had to be in one. And after hearing a lot of the comments from the people tonight, I have very much concerns, more so than before. Hearing some of the teachers, family members about the music program, it's concerning. I graduated from this Phoenixville School District. I had my son graduate from here. But I have a question about, should I send a child here anymore? Because of the question of, what I hear from the parents. Flex periods, new word. Chromebooks for kindergarten kids. There has to be more open discussion, more meetings, as Ms. Longo has said. Later on, you're going to be voting on the superintendent goals. I was here at a 4-hour meeting on a Saturday. I was the only one here. Saturday morning, and you talked about, but then Ms. Longo said the last 2 times you canceled those meetings. So I'm not sure if that's correct or not correct. You could answer that question for me. But hearing all these comments is a concerning point. So I hope this board looks at themselves and see that, yes, you have to make some changes. 15 years ago, we would sit at committee meetings and there would be a give and take. And it would be after every item on the agenda. You wouldn't have to wait till the end to talk about something. It was a give and take. That was good. That was a good responsibility of this board. But this is not what's going on these days. So I hope you look at yourselves. Yes, this is a thankless job. I understand that. You've ran to serve the community and to help the education of this community. But you also have to look at yourselves and say, am I doing the right thing these days? Look at yourselves. Hear the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. And as I said when we came out, and I'll say it again, I do apologize for that. It was not our intention for it to take that long, and you are correct. I do not like having the public sit around for that long. So again, I apologize for that. Okay, that is the last. Okay. So,
I was not able to put my name on.
All right, I'll allow it because you are a student. It's the only exception. Can you just state your name and township?
My name is Maxwell Work, and I live in East Pikeland Township. First off, I filled out the application for the junior student board position, and I'm So I'm really hopeful that if I get that position, that I'm able to advocate for all of my fellow students and make sure none of this, like this lapse in communication, doesn't happen again. But the first and probably most important part of being a board member, being in an administration, is worrying about the student experience as well as their education. And as many people have said before, and I have also said before in multiple of my speeches, music education has been shown to improve both student experience as well as their education. My grandfather is a lawyer in Berks County, but he also co-founded the Reading Music Foundation, and he was instrumental in writing all of their policies and doing countless research on how much music has improves the student experience and everything that surrounds that. He had also offered, if you guys would like any of that research, I will gladly give you that to you. But I also understand that you guys have lives outside of this and you don't need to read 7,000 pages of 7,000 documents. But if that is what's needed, I will gladly bring you that up to that. The ratio of music students to teachers, there were, it's 330 students to, I believe it's just in the in the band for the elementary school, and 300 students to 1, 2, or 2 teachers and is not feasible to make sure all of those students are getting accurate and excellent education, which these teachers are excellent educators. And even if there are other teachers in this district, like we can go with English, who are at the high school level, they are teaching an entire grade. But there are normally 3 to 4 teachers per grade that are so that the teachers aren't overworked and overwhelmed with the amount of students there are. And every year since my now rising junior class, the class sizes have grown to the point that 7th and 8th grade were 6th grade was moved down because the middle school couldn't contain that, as well as other things. But I think I do think the most important part should be worrying about the student experience, and that if that wasn't considered completely, I think something has to be changed, especially going into next year. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maxwell. And I'll also just reiterate that we are actively having the music department go and look at where additional staffing would be most effective and where we need that, and they're going to present back to the board, and then we'll make the necessary changes. What? To the admin, yes, and they'll make the necessary recommendations to us. So it's supposed to be happening this summer, or potentially right now. So they had a meeting and they're in those discussions. So we will keep you posted, but I do want you all to know we appreciate you taking your time on what night is it, Monday night, and sticking with us and coming out here and speaking meeting after meeting. And the board is committed to making sure that we have a strong music program. And so we're going to see what their recommendation is and see how we can move forward. So thank you.
Can I make a quick comment?
Sure, Dan.
I just want to say thank you for coming out. I don't know the process of the application of how to be a student rep, but I just wanted to say you have a voice, whether it's in that chair or out in the audience. So go for it.
19 years.
But come out, keep speaking, keep letting us know what's going on. That's my point. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, we're going to now move on to board representative reports. And we are starting with Dr. Halloran with the PCF update.
I don't have a full report from PCEF, but Director Cadigan and I did speak, and she mentioned that the big activity right now is PCEF is prepping and gearing up for the Power Up effort that is to take place in July. So they're packing backpacks as we speak.
Excellent.
And that's all.
That is always a good program, very helpful for students. Mr. Perry, do you have a CCIU update?
Yes. We had graduation 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, can't remember which. Anyway, I was officiated did my official role of in that. We are meeting on Wednesday of this week, so I'll have a board report of our meeting on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Reiser, do you have a legislative update?
I do, but it's a late night, so again, I'm going to say phone bill, not done. Let's move on.
Okay, yes, we are all watching that very closely, for sure. Ms. Remington, do you have a library update?
I do. As we've heard back from the State Department that passports will not be reinstated. So currently, President Overland has drafted a letter to send to Senators Fetterman, McCormick, and Congresswoman Houlihan to advocate for their support in some legislation that would allow public libraries to continue to serve as passport acceptance facilities. So that letter is on the agenda for approval tonight. They're still accepting applicants for Director of Development position. And the next library board meeting is 7/6. That's it.
Thank you very much. And we're trying to do that as a joint letter with the Borough Council as well, to be as impactful as possible. Ms. McTiernan, do you have a superintendent's report?
I do. Good evening, everyone. I will keep this brief. First of all, our enrollment report for 6-1 is attached, 3,965 students. And I want to congratulate our graduates. Friday night was a great night, so congratulations to all our 2026 seniors. And Dr. McClure has asked me that I read this. America is having a big birthday this summer, and PASD is ready to celebrate. This summer, the Phantom is packing his bags for a road trip with you. He used his superpowers to become his alter ego, Flat Phantom, and is ready to hop into your suitcase in celebration of America's 250th birthday. Join us in a patriotic scavenger hunt that keeps you nearby or takes you far, far away. Our friends at the Phoenixville Historical Society has helped us create a summer full of adventure that will take you on a historical journey to learn all about the start of our country and beyond. Families can pack up a copy of The Flat Phantom at the district office, Phoenixville Historical Society, Phoenixville Public Library, or Reed's and Company, or print one out on your own. The file is available on our website. Missions are released weekly throughout the summer and are completed through the Goose Chase app. Visit our website for more information. That is all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We'll be bringing Flat Phantom with us this summer. Okay, we are now going to move into public comment on consent agenda items. Again, please keep them to 3 minutes and state your name and township. Alaire Southington.
Alaire Southerton, East Pikeland Township. I have some words prepared, but I first want to speak to the disconnect that I felt after hearing over the last 2 months the cuts to be made to the music department, after hearing the students and teachers come to speak, and then watching the award be presented and have those students stand and take a picture. I can't imagine their feelings, but I felt a slight disconnect, which does connect to the words that I prepared for today. There is a little voice over the last few weeks that has said, did I make a mistake? And I can imagine that many of the 291 members in our Wait Until 8th group and the 77 members that receive our newsletter each week may also be hearing that voice that says, did I make a mistake? Did I make a mistake moving my family to Phoenixville? I am listening to discord. I am listening to conflicts about issues that seem pretty black and white to me. Staffing, community engagement, communication. And I really have to revisit if coming to Phoenixville with my young family was a mistake. Our goals as the Wait Until 8th community, we sent to the board: removal of one-to-one devices in K through 8, reducing inappropriate content, and supporting a digital wellness curriculum with a significant reduction of ed tech apps. We have communicated those clearly to the board and to admin. And the proposed timeline that has come back is insufficient. Any continued deliberation, any continued investigation creates a harmful environment for our students, for our kids, and it creates harm in the trust in the community that you seek to build. In Lower Merion School District, parents have spent 6 months advocating, and it was just decided that they were eliminating one-to-one devices in K-2 for the upcoming school year, fall of 2026. 3rd and 4th grade will receive computer carts. 5th and 6th grade are permitted, but not required to bring those devices home. In the TE School District, they began their advocacy with the school board on April 16th. Discussions around tech started this spring. And as of now, in fall of 2026, they are eliminating iPads for kindergarteners. All devices will remain at school, and there will be no devices used during arrival and dismissal. These are neighboring school districts who are excelling in academics and community engagement.
30 seconds.
I did wait for an hour, so I'm going to finish my comments that I have always kept to 3 minutes. You can make decisions right now that have immediate benefits for our kids. It's being done in other districts. We can act, or we can lose people to neighboring districts and to private schools. We did give out a survey to the 291 members in our group, and here are a few of the family responses around their concerns with technology. I see the lack of resilience in my high school students who are raised with smartphones and like to offload cognitive work to AI. My daughter is about to start at PALC in the fall, and I'm concerned about screen usage in kindergarten. It seems entirely unnecessary. I am frustrated with the amount of technology currently being used in our younger grade classrooms, iPads being used during indoor recess or free time. Encouraging kids, fostering friendship is not happening. Learning to deal with social and conflict resolutions is not happening. Another response: I'm so distraught over the amount of iPad time that is used in school. I hate seeing my child use an iPad to read and do most of his work, most notably playing video games for math and ELA. I just don't see how video games are the right venue for this. I've heard how much screen time there is in the classroom, even in the youngest grades, and I'm very concerned. I have a 4-year-old boy and a newborn. I'm willing to help in whatever way the group needs. We're also part of the Charlestown Playhouse community, and many of the families there share similar concerns. They are looking for alternate solutions for schooling. Peer pressure of kids who have phones or Apple Watches with a group chat, overuse of technology in classrooms. There's an instructional coach who teaches elsewhere, and he does not see that the teachers are doing the work to make decisions based on research and data. Gamification of education, excessive TV and movie viewing in a child's classroom.
Time's up.
Both of my boys are still pre-K, but I'm very nervous about them getting handed a tablet or laptop on day 1 of kindergarten. I cannot afford Waldorf school, but I am currently viewing that as an option. I'm not sure if we'll come back to the public school system.
Thank you, Ms. Southerton. Appreciate your comments.
I do hope that you make smart, research-based decisions in a timely fashion.
Thank you. Katie Castaglione? Yep.
Okay. Hi. Good evening. My name is Katie Castiglione. I'm a parent of a rising 2nd grader, Alice, and a rising 3rd grader, Millie, who I just dropped off at home, who's probably watching something she probably shouldn't be right now, but that's okay, because I'm here fighting for her and fighting for these children, and it's important that I stay tonight. I want to begin by saying that I believe technology has a place in our education. My concern tonight is not the existence of technology in our schools. My concern is the lack of communication, transparency, and parent partnership around sending laptops home with 2nd graders. Parents in my child's class were informed that students would receive district-issued laptops to take home for the summer and keep for the remainder of the elementary school year. I understand the teacher was simply communicating this. This came over, a parent square text, what the district had already decided, and this is not criticism on her. My concerns is with the process and communication. From the parent perspective, the communication came after students already knew about the laptops and were described as so excited to get them. Yet families had not received a meaningful overview of the educational purpose, summer expectations, safeguards, filtering, monitoring, digital citizenship instruction, keyboarding support, or what financial responsibility would look like if a device was damaged or lost. I didn't ask for them to come home. Many parents are already trying to raise kids in a world where screens compete for their attention every day. I am fighting mine right now. We want to partner with the district, but partnership requires being informed about decisions before decisions are implemented, not after the fact. If we are asking 8-year-olds to take responsibility for internet-connected devices, and if families may be financially responsible for the damage or loss, then parents deserve clear guidance and support before these devices come home. As I understand it was, a teacher here in one school, another teacher here, or not at all was communicated. I was not able to speak at the May board meeting, but I want to share what happened during the final week of school this past week because it made this issue very real for our family. Shortly after the laptops were introduced in the classroom, my second grader began having trouble with her device immediately. Only hers in the classroom. I thought she was being targeted. Just kidding. Hers was the only one not working, and she was understandably frustrated. If you guys heard me speak prior, this is the one that really loves technology. By June 10th, another support ticket after the previous one had been opened because she could not access what she needed to learn how to do whatever it was she was doing. After school that day, she was extremely upset and worried that something had been deleted, either by her or during troubleshooting with the IT person. She came outside crying to the car in a pickup line. She was also very worried she would not have her laptop for the summer. For an 8-year-old, that level of anxiety over a district device felt completely disproportionate to where her focus should be at the end of second grade. Like, this consumed my entire week last week. This is part of my concern. The laptop is not just a tool once it is placed in a child's hand. It can quickly become the center of her thinking. When I suggested that Millie and her sister go to the library or pick out books for summer reading, she became quite upset, throwing a chair, and said she did not want books. She wanted the laptop because everything I need is on that laptop, and nobody reads books anymore. That was heartbreaking to hear from a second grader. I'm not sharing this to blame on a teacher or IT support person. I'm sharing because second graders should not be carrying around anxiety about support tickets, access issues, deleted files, or whether they will have their laptop over the summer for use. They should still be encouraged to read books, play, be curious, and build healthy technology habits with adults guiding them together. And let me say, both teachers provided that to her, but her focus was strictly on this laptop. My two direct asks are a district-wide parent information session before laptops go home, or any at all that engage us as a community. A published elementary device guide covering usage, filtering, monitoring, keyboard instruction, digital citizenship, summer expectations, and parent responsibilities. The question is not whether our children will use technology. The question is whether parents will be treated as partners in that journey or simply informed after the fact. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt Potowski? Matt Potowski?
Good evening. My name is Matt Pekoski, and I'm a Schuylkill Township resident. My children are 3 and 1 years old. They're not even in your schools yet. But I'm here tonight because I care deeply about the direction of the district. And honestly, after hearing another parent talk about bringing up a concern they had to the board a year ago and seeing no apparent follow-up, I'm glad that I'm starting my engagement now. And I'll be, after tonight, I'll be engaging other preschools in the district to get more parents involved before their kids start at the school district. I also wanted to share an observation that I had over the last 4 hours, especially during the public comment periods. Not a lot of notes being taken by the folks sitting at the desk here. I just want you all to realize that, when we come here to spend time to engage with you, we're not here to speak our truth or just be heard or talk at you. We expect action. And I think that's where a lot of this frustration is coming from people that are obviously showing up clearly meeting after meeting. So I encourage you to not just blankly stare at the people speaking and take some notes on what can be done. And really, I think you need to take notes to understand what trends are occurring over the feedback. To To get back on topic here a little bit, I'm here in support of the Wait Until 8th initiative, and I want to share 3 things that I hope this board will sit with. First, the research on cognitive development is alarming. We now have a lot of research that's been published to show that Gen Z may be the first generation in modern history to score lower on standardized cognitive tests than the generation before them, reversing a trend of rising IQ scores that held for over a century. Researchers point to screen-based environments that reward speed and distraction over the sustained, effortful reasoning that learning actually requires. Our schools should not be accelerating that trend. Second, I'd ask the board to consider who is making the devices being published into classrooms and where their own children go to school. Tech executives at Apple, Google, Amazon, and other major companies have consistently chosen schools for their kids that restrict or ban devices entirely, honestly well beyond the 8th grade if you read the reporting. These are the same people whose business models depend on capturing attention and creating habitual use. They understand what their products do, and we should take that seriously. Third, on the question of an opt-in approach, it seems like there's some acceptance to that path as a viable compromise, but I urge caution. On the surface, it sounds reasonable and flexible, but in practice, what does it mean? Will we evaluate students differently, whether they've had access to a school-issued device or not? This district sets standards on all kinds of things that aren't subject to opt-in or out: curriculum, attendance, safety protocols, etc. Device use in the classroom affects every child's learning environment, not just those who opt in. The only carve-out that makes sense here is through the IEP process, where students' needs are clearly evaluated before a device is issued. I hope this board will take a clear position. These are exactly the kinds of decisions that make a real difference for our kids, including mine, when they get here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Lisa, Olga?
Nice job.
I would like to ask the board to remove the item number 31 from the consent agenda, the strategic plan and superintendent goals, and add another public meeting and discussion. I have been at least 2 meetings where it was on the agenda, and the meetings went late, so it was removed. There was one Saturday meeting that I was not aware of, or I would have been here. So most of the public has not been here to review these goals and speak to the board. So I think it should be removed tonight. With regard to the technology policy, which should be part of that, right? It's part of the goals. A policy needs to be in place before school starts in the fall. We cannot wait. It doesn't have to be a comprehensive, perfect policy, but something needs to be in place. Hearing that a 2nd grader cried and was upset because something happened to a laptop, I'm sorry, as a parent, 2nd graders don't need laptops, and that the school's giving them a laptop to take home, it's just wrong. The UK just banned social media for anybody under 16. Australia also did that. This is the way society is moving. We're going to be more restrictive. You guys can add a policy committee meeting. You can add one in July. You have draft policy. We see what TE did. You can call other school districts. Please do what's best for the students and call for a policy committee. It only takes 5 of you to step up to do this. That's why you were elected. None of you came here to sit here and rubber stamp things that somebody else told you to do. I have the utmost respect for everybody who runs for office. So please remember why you ran. You ran to come here and do something for the students, right? That's why you're here. So do it. Act on technology before August. That means you have to meet in July. Thank you.
Thank you. Alex Mitchell.
Alex Mitchell from Phoenixville. I have a son who's rising 1st grade, just finished kindergarten, and a daughter who will be entering the school district soon. I want to reiterate a lot of the thoughts on technology. I'm pro technology. I think it's a tool, and I've just been very troubled as I've learned more just about the degree to which it's being used to replace conventional methods and things that we know work. And I think that the biggest part of that is transparency. It's impossible to have this conversation without knowing where everybody's at, what's allowed, what's whitelisted, what's not. And it makes me very uncomfortable as a parent not knowing and not having that forum and that back and forth to discuss it. And I think, the last thing I'll say, I think that COVID, changed a lot, but like it didn't change the whole world. It didn't change how things work. Didn't change human nature. And technology provided us with tools to get through it, and to learn and to do better. But that doesn't mean that we need to stick with what was used to get us through something. And I know that a lot of this is the technology and technology companies who have jumped on this and see this as an opportunity to take advantage of all this remote work, and anything can be done anywhere. It's not the case. Done tech PR, I've worked with a lot of these companies. I know what's going on, and you need to be very careful with what we're signing up for and rubber stamping and things like that, especially with the speed that things are changing. And if we can get something before the school year comes up, I think that would make a lot of people feel a lot more comfortable and a lot more happy with the direction that things are going. So thank you for your attention to this issue so far, and I look forward to hearing more about it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Michelle Falsitano.
Hi, thank you so much for hearing us and for staying so late. I'm going to be a little shaky because I didn't eat dinner before, so I'm very hungry right now. I'm from Schuylkill Township. I have a rising second grader and a future phantom who is 1.5 years old, and I'm here to speak today primarily about transparency issues regarding 2 particular areas. I can't find my notes app, so I'm going to be speaking extemporaneously, so wish me luck. The first is including different kinds of screen time. There's been a lot of talk about iPads, but I'm also very concerned about the amount of non-educational TV and movie watching that happens in the classrooms, and it happened in my son's classroom in 1st grade. I do like his teacher a lot, I will say that. I just want to put that out there, but it breaks my heart to think of him going to school every day and watching television during snack time instead of talking to his friends, or the amount of times he comes home and tells me about the movies they're watching. I could list them out for you. It's a long list. There's a lot of regular movie watching that is not related to educational content, and I know they need breaks and things, but I would love to see them play. And I'd also like to have some advance notice about what these movies are. My son is a sensitive child, and there are other sensitive children who experience anxiety around certain kinds of movie scenes. And I know they need to learn to kind of deal with these things, but I would appreciate some knowledge of what those movies are, what the TV shows are, how much time they're watching. Can I trust my 6-year-old unreliable narrator about how much these are being played? If the teachers could share beforehand what they're going to show, how long they'll be showing it for, when they'll be watching it, I can adequately prepare my sometimes anxious child much more appropriately. So please consider TV watching, movie watching, YouTube videos that they consider movement breaks. How much of that, some transparency around that as well as the iPad time would be extremely appreciated. The second area where I'd love some more transparency is in how the assessments are used. Last time there was a meeting here, one of the touted benefits of the AI-backed educational ed tech systems was that it would lead to increased differentiation in the classroom, but I have not seen that happen for my son, who has excelled in math and has gone from loving it to now kind of hating it, in spite of the fact that his exact path scores were showing that he was doing well. He was still in the classroom being increasingly frustrated by the level of the worksheets he was being given. There wasn't a lot of connection there. And also just getting those scores, his teacher was really wonderful and really helped me out by sending me screenshots of what those scores were. I didn't have a way to access them myself, and I have a ticket open with IT to help me figure out how to find out what is he doing on ExactPath, what kind of math is he doing in there, what is the AI-backed platform giving him and taking from him. I would love information about that and just transparency about what's happening in the classroom and on those screens without me having to text his teacher all the time, because she's working really hard. She has a lot to do, and not spoon feed me bits of information. There should be a system designed to support her and to support that transfer of information so that parents can be aware of what their kids are being assessed on and what the results of those assessments are so they can adequately advocate for proper differentiation in their child's classroom. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Brian Albany?
Hello, Brian Albany from East Pikeland Township. So I've been coming to these, and I've been speaking, and I ended at the last one saying, meet the community where we are, right? And I really, really mean that. There is not a constituency. I meant to say this, and I should have at the end of my last one because I had some time. Guys, there is not a constituency for iPads in the classroom. You're hearing from the gentleman in the red here who has a 1 and a 3-year-old who's already upset about this. I'm in my younger child's class getting approached by other people, not me asking them their thoughts on this, right? Being told, wow, thanks for saying something, but also like, what can we do? How can this change? Like walking through my neighborhood, I talked to some of the other parents, and there are, 3 or 4 kids that are all getting ready to go to kindergarten. The conversation is entirely around the iPads at kindergarten for Phoenixville and whether they need to move their kids to a place that does not have iPads in kindergarten, right? That is the whole conversation. And it gets heated very quickly, actually. A lot of people have very strong opinions on this, as you might have seen, right? So I think it's something that if the administration is going to take its time and really take a look at things and have a lot of meetings and potentially get back to us in January, I think the board should take the onus here to really meet the community where they are. You guys are the ones who get voted on by the community, right? To, go ahead and represent us in this space. And it's me asking you guys to kind of take the lead here, take the ball, and really have a good, hard conversation about it. Yeah, that's really where I was going with this. My understanding is that you guys have the powers to set policy, and so I hope that you guys really take a hard look at that. Thank you so much for the time, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. John Steitzer?
How's everyone doing? Yeah, it's been a long one. My name's John. I live in Phoenixville. I'm a single dad. I've got a rising first grader. I've got a 4-year-old who's going to be a kindergartner too soon. Probably I'll blink twice and she'll be there. I'm here to talk about the tech. I'm concerned. I strongly support what everyone who's more articulate and smarter than me has said about it. I have the unfortunate distinction of working in tech myself, but I grew up on a farm with no tech whatsoever, and now I'm in the space. And I think about one thing that I still struggle with is, what are our objectives, and what are we trying to achieve with these programs, right? And I like to assume that everyone here, baseline, has good intentions. We all have a bunch of ideas, but what you guys are concerned about, that's why you got involved, is what we can do that's best for our kids. And that's what everyone here is concerned about too, right? What's best for our kids. And there's a lot of concern, and there's a lot of things that people have said tonight that really resonate, whether it's from, the tech executives who raise their kids in private schools without tech. Why? And what are we trying to achieve giving a kindergartner an iPad? I think we've all seen the reporting about, Gen Z's test scores going down. We've all seen the reporting about Gen Z, the first generation to grow up with iPads and everything else, not even understanding how these things work. Are we creating digital natives? Are we just creating, consumers? I don't know. But I certainly would prefer the things being put forward by the Wait for the 8th group to be seriously considered. I have trouble, I try to give it the benefit of the doubt, and if someone in a classroom wants to watch a short video and then they have a discussion about it, like, sure. But, iPads for all the kids, I don't know. My ex wanted me to share something. One sec. If you can, that's a bad impression. if you can, please make them aware that an iPad came home without our knowledge or permission for kindergartner. It's late for her too, so forgive the grammar. But, I think the concerns about parental involvement, consent, understanding, that's real, right? You have our children, not you, the district. My kids, I get them to school. I'm a zombie. They're at school. I work too much. I pick them up, and I have them for an hour or two. Most of their day is spent in this space. You're raising our children with us. And the things you're deciding, these policies, these devices, we all want what's best, and we're scared about the outcomes. So anyway, I think from seeing your faces, you all understand what the concerns are. Just count my voice as one among the many to say, I think we need to really step back, re-examine the fundamentals, and I would strongly urge you guys to do what you can to take some action. I'm not seeing the benefits of iPads for all the kids, and I think, the kids are gonna grow up and figure out the internet and tech all on their own. That it doesn't need to start in first grade. But anyway, thanks.
Thank you. Mike Padilla?
Okay, Mike Padilla, Schuylkill Township. I would like the board to consider adding a superintendent goal associated with the proactive updates with the 2 court cases associated with the superintendent. So I printed out the 2 court dockets here, and I'll just read through some of them. So the first one is Jeffrey Brazil versus Melissa McTiernan, and I highlighted it. Defendant McTiernan and Doherty were aware of all Gusick test results prior to January of 2020, but falsely alleged that they had no knowledge of dangerous lead or asbestos in order to support the criminal case against plaintiff and shift blame away from themselves. And then Doherty and McTiernan deliberately sent all school children back to the same buildings that were allegedly hazardous in August 2019. Defendants created a false narrative and put the above charade solely to generate a desired media story, and in Doherty and McTiernan's case, solely to shift blame to plaintiff and away from themselves and the school board. In the second case, Jacqueline Sparacino, there's a bunch of them in here. I'm sure my time will run out. Plaintiff alleges retaliation claims against defendant McTiernan in violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. Plaintiff alleges sex discrimination claims against defendant McTiernan. Plaintiff alleges First Amendment retaliation claims against defendants McTiernan. 14th Amendment due process violations against defendant McTiernan. Intentional infliction of emotional distress claims against defendant McTiernan. Negligent infliction of emotional distress claims, but there's a lot here. But I think the community deserves to know what's the status of these. Like, I'm not sure where these stand. Obviously, I'm in no position to know the merits of these, but I know if my bus driver was accused of drunk driving and, hazardous, reckless endangerment, like, I would want to at least know what's the status. So I think at a minimum, the community deserves to know what the status of these are. My guess is that's not going to happen, that it'll be more of a hush campaign. But I don't understand why the community shouldn't know why the leader of the district wouldn't be upfront with the claims that are in these court dockets. Thank you.
Greg Spudo.
Hello again. My name is Greg Spotto. I live in Phoenixville in the district. I have a rising 3rd grader at Harris Hill. When we last met, just to remind you, I'm a program manager at a large aerospace company. I lead large teams through multi-year efforts at the highest levels of information security. I have expertise. A successful effort for me includes enforcing policies needed to keep the work we do secure, as well as the results of our work to have enduring security. What that means is that the work that we do is as important, the way we do the work that we do is as important as the results, which is similar to everything that you guys are talking about and we're all talking about with our education. My axioms as a leader is policy is hope written down. Hope is not a plan, because a plan has actions with time associated with it. And maybe I am dumb, but I appreciate that what this board does, much like everyone has said, this is hard. What you guys do is hard. What the administration does is hard. And the public comments represent tough feedback. We're recognizing that everyone's here trying to do a hard thing in the way that they think is right. In my leadership, I train my team to have targeted discussions to make targeted changes. With that, I'm targeting the superintendent's statement number 3 of the student academic experience. I quote, "The district will investigate, define, and implement in coordination with the policy committee a balanced approach to student screen time that eliminates non-essential usage and prioritizes purposeful curriculum-aligned use. Report to board in January 2027. I find this language particularly interesting. It outlines an understanding that there is currently non-essential screen time usage that does not support purposeful education and aligned use. So what you're telling me is that for the next year, we are defaulting to continuing to give unsecured access to students. The student handbook already outlines that devices are distributed at the beginning of a school year. And maybe I'm dumb, but I don't understand why devices are already home for summer. My child is very excited for the laptop game options, or the video game options that his laptop will give him over summer, and that laptop was provided by the school district. With all that, I ask, what is there left to study to make change? Maybe I'm dumb, but if we already have done the work to have a whitelist opt-in, as Mr. Orbacher has stated, why is the default to only give access to approved purposeful curriculum? Maybe I'm dumb, but doesn't a report in January 2027 mean at best that we will be a new policy, AKA HOPE, by the 2027-2028 school year? That's a year away. That's another year of non-essential screen time integrated in next to purposeful education, purposeful curriculum. And these aren't my words, these are the administration's. There's another year where the default technology policy and practice of our schools is giving undersecured devices, providing non-purposeful time to vulnerable students. And that's not my timeline, that's yours. That's another year away from hope, not results, just the hope. EdTech has been here for a while, and I've seen and experienced the benefits of EdTech, like ExactPath, through my son's wonderful GIEP program. I'm not against tech. Tech allows me the means to provide the tax increase that we voted on just recently. I appreciate Mr. Orbacher saying that we can easily opt into a whitelist, but why can't we commit to that now? Why is it that the default opt-in, why is it the default that we opt into security and not have people make the choice to opt out? With the years of data, the administration's admissions that non-whitelist applications and content are currently available, understanding of existing student screen habits, in an anxious community, a study feels like a needless delay to known issues. We're here, the data's here, actionable ideas are here. Together, this board, the administration, and the public, we can commit to make positive changes now and not maybe later in 2027. Thank you.
Thank you. John Mraz.
Going on 5 hours. Okay. Tonight you're going to vote on the strategic plan and superintendent goals. I too agree that it should be pooled. We had one meeting, public meeting, and I was the only person that attended that meeting on a Saturday morning. Nobody knew about it. I accidentally found that meeting. So I think you need to move that out and have a public discussion. And people who haven't seen this in the public, it's out there. I just want to read a couple items. That the superintendent should have a 95% graduation rate. That's better than 93.5, which was in the 23-24 school year. That's fine, 95%. 5%, okay, you're not going to have 100% mostly, but you still should have a 100% graduation rate. Or show the exceptions. Did they leave the school district? Did they just go off the grid? The other thing is that, and we talked about this at the meeting, was the surveys. Surprisingly, only 65% of the employees replied to the survey. That's ridiculous. for a school district to have 65%. Now, I know you want to have anonymous surveys coming back. As I suggested at the meeting, why don't you have, if you prepare and submit your survey, you're eligible for a free dinner somewhere. We talked about that. But to get 65% of surveys from your employees, come on, this is a school district. Another item, you talked about technology, and it's on the strategic plan. And, quote, foster trust and communications across the district community through clear, transparent implementation of PASD's technology use policies and procedures. What I just heard was that kids are being sent laptops home without the parents knowing about this. Is this a strategic goal? I think the superintendent flunks that one right now. And finally, with the strategic plan for improving the school district buildings, it says hire a firm to develop detailed projection plan options for the high school renovation, establish additional opportunities for the community engagement throughout the planning process. Boy, I hope that's going to happen. But based upon the strategic plan, we had one person come out, and that was me. Come on, board. Look at yourselves. Do your job. Hear the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mraz. Katie Sorellis?
Hi again, Katie Sterlos, Borough of Phoenixville. I just have a question about the personnel approval of the contract with Downingtown Area School District for a climate and culture consultant for a one-year period of time. I thought that we were getting a full-time person for $110,000. That would be a climate and culture coordinator, but this says a climate and culture consultant. So I don't know if I get an answer now. It was a question that I had, I just didn't understand. So if we could just have some clarification on that, that'd be terrific. Thanks.
I can address the climate and culture position, I believe. We had many applicants and interviews, and at this point, we did not have, as far as the full-time position goes, we did not have a successful candidate reach to the point that we would bring to the board. I would say the right fit for Phoenixville and what we were looking for. So at that point, we presented the board with an option, and that's the on for approval for tonight. And it would be for a one-year term. Is it a part-time or full-time? We would be sharing, it's a shared position, yes. So it would be sharing with Downingtown.
Are they full-time with Downingtown?
They are full-time with Downingtown at this point, that's correct. So we would be contracting.
Consent agenda. There's no dollar cost on here, disclosed to the public.
Katie, did I answer your question? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay. At this point, we are going to move on to the consent agenda. I will read through this in my fastest auctioneer voice, but hopefully clearly. It has the June 15th, 2026 personnel report, the approval of the contract with the Downtown Area School District for a climate and culture consultant for a term of 1 year, effective June 16th, 2026, subject to solicitor review, the approval of the election of Dr. Catherine Pacito as Assistant Superintendent for a 5-year term, effective July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2031, pursuant to the Assistant Superintendent Employment Agreement approved by the board, and motion to enter into the contract to establish salary and fringe benefits for the position of Assistant Superintendent, approve the disbursement of school district funds for April 26, acknowledge the receipt of district financial reports for April 26, approve of the agreement with the CCIU for medical access authorization for a term of July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, at a rate of $13.89 for CRNP and $43.38 for physicians, approval of the annual contract extension with ESS for the 26-27 school year with increased hourly rates for substitute support staff positions, approval of the 2026-2027 marketplace contract and pricing schedule with the Chester County Intermediate Unit, approval of the tax assessment settlement for 501 Mason Street for an assessment of $2.228,800,000, an increase of $498,880, and an increase of $17,497 taxable revenue. Approval of the tax assessment settlement for 130 Schuylkill Road for an assessment of $2,123,660, an increase of a $105,320 assessed value, and $3,694 of taxable revenue. Approval of the tax assessment settlement for 120 Schuylkill Road for an assessment of $1,894,480. A decrease of $2.165120 assessed value, and a decrease of $75,951 taxable revenue. Approval of the district's property and liability insurance for 26-27. Approval of sports medicine physician coverage agreement with Rossman Orthopedics for football games from July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. Approval of the agreement with the Chester County Juvenile Probation, Chester County Department of Computing and Information Services for 2026-2027. Approval of the memorandum of understanding with the Greater Philadelphia YMCA Phoenixville branch for the use of occupancy for emergency purposes from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2028. Approval of a fire hydrant easement agreement with Phoenixville Borough for 5 of the district fire hydrants around the City Line Avenue property. Approval of the professional services agreement with ICS Consulting to perform and produce facilities assessment and planning study related to the high school renovation project in the amount of $1,500. Approval of lead test proposal for Westchester Environmental in the amount of $13,700. Approval of the behavioral and education services agreement with Cottage 7 Education for a term of July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. Approval of the dental services agreement with Dr. Robert Dolphus of Chesterbrook Dental Associates for a term of April 29, 2026 through April 28, 2027. Approval of an enrollment contract with the Campbell School 2026 extended school year services for a term of June 22nd through July 17, 2026. Approval of the ESY agreement with Pathway School from July 6, 2026 through August 6, 2026. Approval of the disposal of textbook and library books. Approval of the transportation field trip approvals. Approval of resources. Approval of the site license with Transit Live for a one-year term. Approval of curriculum revisions. Approval of a settlement agreement and release for student 2023 to 2024E. Approval of an MMU with Charles for Tomorrow for a term of June 13th, 2026 through June 12th, 2027. Approval of the joint letter from the Phoenixville Area School Board and Phoenixville Borough Council in support of library passport services legislation. Approval of the 2026-2027 strategic plan and superintendent goals, and the approval of the minutes from the June 1st, 2026 board meeting. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Can I ask that we remove 2, the climate and culture consultant, and 31, the 2026-2027 strategic plan, to a separate vote? We can discuss those individually.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so we'll push those down to separate roll call. Is there further discussion on remaining consent agenda items?
Outside of 2 and 31, then, right?
Correct. Going once, going twice. All right, call Mr. Perry last for the vote, but please call the roll.
Ms. Remington?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Venezia?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Mr. Weiser?
Yes.
Dr. Allen Savage?
Aye.
Dr. Halloran?
Yes.
President Overland?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Can hope, yeah.
Does it matter?
It's fine.
It's passed.
Okay.
Okay, not present. Okay. Motion passes 8-0.
Okay, we are now going to, we'll do the number 2. Oh.
Mr. Perry? You missed the vote.
Okay, yes.
Minus numbers 2 and 31.
Hi.
Okay.
She does know that Alan would raise it now.
Okay, we will jump into number 2 first, the climate and culture consultant. May I have a motion to approve that item?
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Weiser.
Second.
Second, Turner. Any discussion?
I guess I should start. So I couldn't find the exact goals, but if my memory serves, we had a board goal to hire this position. And I think I've heard from different administrators that this is a position that we need. Maybe not desperately, I would say desperately. But this is a position that we need across the district. My issue here is we recognize the need, and yes, we haven't found the perfect candidate yet, but I'm not comfortable splitting this candidate's time between two districts. I don't think that's fulfills the needs that we have for the district. I don't know that we'll find somebody else in a couple months more of searching, but I don't like the idea of sharing somebody that will have a lot of responsibility in this school district part-time with somebody else. So that's my concern. I don't know what else to add to it, but I don't like the idea of essentially making this a part-time position in my mind.
I agree with what Mr. Weiser has said in terms of the split and in terms of this. I initially was not for this. And I want to be clear in saying that I'm not necessarily rah over this. But Ms. McTiernan and I had a fairly decent discussion about it. And at the end of the day, where I'm at with it is that I feel like that it's not an ideal situation. It's not an ideal thing. But I feel like we laid out goals, what was it, 18 months ago or whenever it was that we talked about doing this. And I feel like we need to do something to get some movement on this. And we're not going to get any movement if we're just simply in a let's just forever search for somebody that fits the bill, and as the salary requirements creep up and up and up. So that's where I'm at. I don't know. I'm hoping that this person can be really effective in the short term that we're probably, how long is the contract? Is it 1 year contract? I think in that time period, we should also be looking at, while this person's doing their work, we should also be keeping our eyes on that we still want this to be a full-time position and that we still want this position to have a team behind it and really have some meat. So while this person is doing work, we can also be doing that part of it and making sure that we had the budget for all those things. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Mr. Perry. I mean, it's not ideal, but at the same time, it's important work. And if the administration feels like they haven't found the right individual, then I think two things. I think one, presumably this individual that they've spoken to is experienced, has the skill set. There's an opportunity to leverage his or her experience set and bring it to Phoenixville. And it's a 1 year commitment, right? Versus potentially, not that we would force a hire or make the wrong hire, but then that's a substantial commitment. So I think it's, given where we sit today, I think it's important to get these initiatives moving and have some oversight and experienced leadership that can come in, even if it's shared. Again, someone that has the right skill set and experience to add value and have some impact here.
And I think it's important to note, because it's not entirely clear from here, that this would not be on top of the person's full-time role. This would be a split position between us and Downingtown. So it is not them having their full-time job and then also coming here. So I think that's important to note. The other thing is, with what we have now of an extra pay for extra duty sort of position, this is a significant step up going from somebody who does have a full-time job and is doing it in their spare time to somebody who's going to be at least half-time. We potentially have the potential for even more than that. But I agree, it's not perfect, but we need to get this work going. And this is a person who knows the area, is established in education, and if they can get us moving forward, and then we continue to evaluate what the right next move is or find the right person, then I don't think we just wait around and don't take the action now.
At this point, I'm inclined to agree with the consensus of what's already been said. I don't agree. I think we're signing up for, and I've shared this with Ms. Matiernan. I don't agree because I think we're in the same position we were in, whether we want to admit it or not. It's still a half-time position. We have very heavy goals that require a person not to consult, but to dig their heels in and actually do very important work. That heavy work that we listed in these goals cannot be done by a part-time person. It cannot be done when you're sharing necessarily a person with another district, particularly because you're going to start getting a lot of cookie cutter. It works here, so why can't it work here? It works here, so it works here. And so we run the risk. I've said this before 1,000 times over, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. If you do not do this work intentionally and with awareness and digging into the community and all of that research, right, that, you know, Ms. Remington, you and I have talked about, it's just not going to happen in the way that it needs to be happening. And if we sit here and we're listening to parents and teachers talking about all the things that need to be looked at and examined, and this whole meeting has really been about equity. If you dig into it, we have talked about equity for the last 5 hours. And so we need a full-time person that is going to have their eyes on that in an intentional and aware way. When we've even today, I've heard certain comments where I was like, ooh, it would be nice to have someone here that could take note of that comment to say, we probably need a workshop on this because that's not the appropriate language that we should be using as a district or as individual stakeholders, whomever. So it sounds good, and listen, this work is important, but I think that it's important to have the correct person, whether it means that we are still searching, but I just don't think that we start with someone because our goals are long. Our goals have longevity. And as the young man who came up who said he wanted to be president, it's going to impact the student experience. So whatever is happening up top with Ms. McTiernan and her team will trickle down to our students. And so it is important. I know I'm the one that does this for a living around the table, but it is extremely important that the right person is in this role, full-time, buy-in so they can spend time with our teachers, have buy-in, get in front of our students, talk to them, find out what the issues are, tackle our goals that we have laid out very intentionally. I think we had a lot of great discussion around goals. And I just don't necessarily think that this is the way to start the work. I think we need to find a person who can dig their heels in, do all the work. I don't need you Monday through Friday, twice a month. I need you every day on the ground with our other senior leaders so that you are in those conversations with them. You are in a conversation with the board. You're in the ear of Ms. Matiernan. You're in the ear of our teachers. I'm just very uncomfortable with this path forward.
I would agree with that as well. I think a part-time person would provide opportunities to just continue these inefficiencies that we're seeing. I don't think we want to set this roll up for failure. We want this person coming in to be successful. We want them to have a genuine, authentic impact on our student staff experience. I'm having a difficult time envisioning a part-time person coming in and being able to really do that. To Dr. Allen Savage's point, I can't really say it better than she said, but I just think this is a role that we've taken the time to invest or potentially invest resources in because we feel it is extremely important. And I don't think we should shortchange that goal. I think if this is something that we want to be truly impactful, then we have to be measured about it and really consider how just bringing in another part-time person, whether they have more experience or education in the field or not, whether or not that would be truly effective in this scenario and serve the purpose of the goal.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Any other comments before we move to a vote?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Could we, if we don't approve this, we're back to our search, which is, what you might be able to speak, I would hope, to what that would mean in terms of budgetary, like what we're looking at salary-wise.
Right?
Yeah, what's the alternative, and what's a realistic timeline? Because my main motivation, and I think I laid it out, is I just don't want to just feel like we're not actually getting any of this work done. And I completely understand where you're coming from, and I value your opinion heavily in this. I just don't want this to be something that just goes on forever.
We can get the work done with the staff we have, right? But are you going to get the work done well? That's what the crux of it. You can get the work done, but are you doing it well? That it's going to have an impact on our community in the way that we envision it to have an impact on our community. That's all.
To answer your question, Mr. Perry, if we were to not approve this tonight, then we would repost the position and follow the steps to try to find a successful applicant. How long? I can't predict how long. If we find somebody, then it could move, fairly quickly. It depends on who applies.
How long was it posted last time, approximately?
I would need help with Ms. Rockwood with regards to that.
I would say, I'd like to get you those exact dates.
I might be able to find it.
But I would say at least 6 weeks.
If I can add some additional thoughts. If there's something, because this was a board goal, then maybe we should reassess this. But to me, a better solution to this is what it sounds like we interviewed a number of those within our district that I would argue know our communities, know our students, know our teachers, have those connections more than somebody that may be more qualified or an expert in this field. To me, we wanted a cabinet level or high up coordinator of these goals. And what we have here is a consultant for those, literally by the terms. My thought is almost maybe we reassess this and, promote employee growth through meaningful and personalized opportunities is on our strategic goals now. My thought is it not an option that maybe we don't pay the full amount because they didn't necessarily meet all of our needs, but maybe we do some sort of consultant to help train, help fill in the needs where we didn't feel any one of these candidates met those met that level of coordinator. Maybe we do some bit of both, because I'm glad to see that we have an option for somebody that is, as I hear, well qualified, well experienced, and that's amazing that we have that as a resource. But I don't think there's enough time in the day for 40 hours a week to get all of our goals completed. Just starting there. So I don't know if that's a better option. I'm still not a buy-in for this as a solution, even though, yes, it's only 1 year and we can reassess after that. And I definitely want to get started on some of those big things that need to be fixed. We do have the staff to do some of those, and we can get started on that. I think a lot of them just don't have the time right now because we've never had an actual position for this. So maybe pick somebody that's not the perfect candidate but has the most qualifications that we need, and if we need to invest in a coordinator or a mentor, yeah, that's a better term. If we need to invest in a mentor to help get them up to speed, then maybe that's a better option. But to me, this still is not, it's not good enough for me.
I did look up, the posting went up on February 18th of 2026, to answer your question, whoever asked that, how long it was posted.
Okay. Let's move to a
Sorry, one
vote
other thing.
on
Because
this.
I know we know the number. Can we say what the hourly rate is, or how we came to what we expect to pay for that, just for the community?
Yes.
Do you want to explain that, Ms. Rockwood? Or
Just to give some idea of what we're talking about here.
Yes, we negotiated with Downingtown, and what Downingtown did was took the total compensation of the person who is currently doing work for them, their director, and looked at his complete compensation, salary, and benefits, and came up with an hourly rate of $135, and that's what would be charged directly to us. Yep.
Ms. Rockwood, just briefly, how many people applied for that position during the time that was open? Just ballpark.
I would say people who submitted applications, I think the number was around 80. There's a number of people who have their names in there but didn't fully submit applications, but about 80.
And how many actually were qualified?
I would have to go back through and give the board a complete count on that. I can tell you how many people we interviewed. We interviewed, I think, at least 16 applicants, multiple rounds, but.
Do we know the contract status with the other district? In other words, the length of time that this individual has?
He's currently an Act 93 employee with continuous employment as an administrator in Downingtown.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have another comment, Brittany?
Yeah, can we just talk about the alternative of cost of hiring someone else, like what we thought that might look like?
Yes, we think after the selection process that the price that we were currently looking for, we would, if we reposted, we would increase the salary recommendation for that position, probably closer to 150 or 160. This gentleman in Downingtown is currently making over 170.
Okay. Are there any new thoughts or comments? Okay. Then, Ms. Cameron, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Venezia?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Nay.
Mr. Weiser?
No.
Dr. Alan Savage?
No.
Dr. Halloran?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
No.
Ms. Remington?
Yes.
President Overland?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yeah, 5-4.
5-4, yes.
Okay, we are now going to move on to the goals. We are going to try to be as efficient as we can, given it's 11:43, but recognizing this is important, extraordinarily important undertaking.
Do we also have a deadline on this, if I understand correctly?
We don't have a deadline on the goals now.
If we don't pass them now, then that means either we have a special meeting or the next board meeting is in August, and admin doesn't have them to be working on over the summer.
Can I propose a special meeting then? Not that I want to, again, delay having this conversation, but it is an important conversation.
I mean, what do folks want to do?
I would second that.
Well, there's not a motion. I'm asking for.
Yeah, I would agree.
I would make that what I said a motion, however you need me to word it. Motion to
So this
table
would be a
and-
special meeting where the entire agenda is the discussion of the goals, like we did this Saturday.
Which we did do last year, correct? I think that was
We
my
did.
fault too.
We did, and we said we were not going to do it this year.
Well,
I would support
Here we
that.
are.
Can we try and do it in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah.
I'm free.
I would agree. I
yeah.
think that it's important work, so let's,
Can I just say, there is language in this goals document from nearly every board member. We had a 4-hour public meeting as Mr. Mraz came. We've had it on the agenda and discussed it in public at least 3 additional meetings. We haven't always had all the time for every member of the public to make comment, but we've been working on this in public for 2 months. This is one of our mandated board responsibilities. We hire and fire the superintendent, we do policies, we do the budget, we do the superintendent goals. It is our responsibility to move this forward.
Some of this language has changed from the previous draft. So I was prepared to work on the draft that we received previously, and I'm not even sure how this came to be the final draft. The formatting, I believe we had said during the first meeting that we were changing the formatting of the goals and making the superintendent goals essentially the same as the district goals was something that we were also still discussing. So when you say there's something in here from each board member, I think the point of doing the goals as a collective was to come to a consensus together. So to have one person go through and just revise all the language that we had and from various discussions, I don't agree with that.
Also, I just want to mostly force myself to remember here. So we had our Saturday meeting, which I had to leave early. So I think 1 and a little bit of goals number 2 is all I was able to participate in. Goals 3 and 4, I wasn't here. That's on me. That's my fault. But I believe the following meeting, we only had district climate and culture on the agenda for our goals. And the following meeting and the meeting after that, we both delayed. So that's my recollection of things. Personally, I don't feel like that's really having that conversation, which, 2 out of 5 of that is on me for having to go. But I don't feel like I've given that much feedback on communications or resource allocation. And like Victoria said, the district climate and culture doesn't feel like that's what we had even discussed in the public meeting before. At least some of the things that I was caring about the most, I don't see in there. So
Yeah, I think the intention was that this would be another hopefully robust conversation, which I am increasingly at 10:48 not seeing as a possibility. So I think there were already 4 people who said they would be inclined to move it to a special meeting. So
Do you need a motion?
I don't think it's not on the floor, so we can just, yeah, we didn't, nobody motioned to approve it. So we'll look at doing that. We did do it via Zoom last time, so that is potentially an option, which would make Mr. Weiser very happy.
With public comment too?
No, I'm saying it was, yeah, we did public comment on Zoom last year. It was on the consent agenda. We pulled it off the consent agenda.
And now it's not.
But it was always, yeah, tonight, we were always going to have a discussion on it, but because, to make sure everyone was comfortable before we had a final vote. But I think that, yeah, we will go forward with.
Do we need a motion?
No, we could just
Okay.
pull it. And,
So not discuss it then?
We will move it forward.
I just want to make sure, because I don't want to wait until August.
Yeah.
Is
We'll find
special
time to do a-
special
we're gonna
session,
find
is
a time
that
to do
our?
a Zoom
Okay.
meeting. Public comment will be held via that, and although we said we weren't going to do it, we are back to that. So, all right, we already had our public comment on open. So at 10:47 p.m., I am adjourning the meeting. Thank you, everyone. To executive session on personnel.
Yeah, you don't need.